the underground kings showing up for Men's Adventure Fiction May, crushing it with the stories you guys submitted, and that'll be such a fun ride for you guys to get these in your hands. Guys, welcome back to Men's Adventure Fiction Podcast. Here with Nathanael Hummel, who's got his first book coming out. Or maybe it is out now that you've seen this. This is May 1st, baby dolls. May 1st, Treasure is My Trade. I'm so pumped that Nate Colt is coming to the page. So, how are you feeling, my friend? We have a fun episode today, but it is early morning. So if you see some of this, some of that, it's because we are waking up to get this out of the way and start our day right with some adventure. And we're glad you're starting it with us. So how are you feeling, my friend?
I'm thrilled. The reception has been incredible. A lot of really sick reviews already. So much fun getting to see people read Treasure is My Trade and enjoy it. Nate Colt will return, dude, but if you got to read him first. He can't return until after you get through the first one.
Let him come through the door first.
Yeah, great fun to write. I mean, from the Aegean Sea to South Africa to Greece to end it, it's just so much fun. I really enjoyed writing it. It has all of the things that I love from a story. I just tried to boil in there. So some really cool action sequences, non-stop action, lots of fun. Yeah, it's been great. I hope that if you haven't read it, you'll pick it up and read this. I think you coined the love letter idea, but yeah, this is just my love letter to high adventure action stories. So yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, guys, if you've been watching any of the podcast episodes and you're like, Nathanael says smart stuff, I like this guy. He knows what he's talking about when it comes to men's adventure fiction. You'll see that boiled down to the ultimate character in Nate Colt.
Thanks,
It's too awesome. Like, for the little setup I have now, I changed it to Magnum PI and one of the Men's Adventure Fiction quarterly magazines to kind of, I guess, frame Nate Colt here, because you got the most high adventure guy over here with the Men's Adventure Fiction Quarterly magazine. And you've got, I think the closest thing I could, if someone was like, oh, I need more Nate Colt, be like Magnum PI, I guess. He's the only thing I could even remotely think of, because Nate Colt is such a creative, unique, new character that Magnum PI does not do it justice. He's different and better in a lot of ways. But I feel like he needs to be partnered next to Nate Colt, because those two are legends.
Thanks, man.
But yeah, you definitely have brought something new here that mixes everything we've ever talked about kind of somehow into one character and one story. So, and if you do love action, it will not stop. That's what I love about it. I need a high octane story.
But yeah, for sure.
Perfect way. Of course, perfect way to start Men's Adventure Fiction May, which is going to be jam-packed and brings us to you, my friend, to introduce the topic for today and what we're going to be going over.
Yeah, so this is the first week the podcast goes live in May, and we're just talking Men's Adventure Fiction May, the whole episode, man. It is a very exciting time. We got tons of huge stuff coming. So we're going to do a rundown of the Men's Adventure Fiction May challenge, the writing challenge thing that we did, and talk a little bit about that. Go over the finalists a little, and then we'll jump right into some of the other stuff that's coming out, from film to just kind of everything across the board. And then we'll circle around to, not so that you won't lose heart and think that May is the last chance for anything good content coming out. We'll talk a little bit about what's to come after May as well. So it's going to be a fun episode filled with everything you love about men's adventure fiction.
Heck yeah. Well said, well said. This is a fun month. I mean, this idea was something that we just cooked up off the podcast, like, let's get Men's Adventure Fiction May. Sounds nice. Let's do this and bring the community together around the genre. And, of course, we sent out the call to writers, like, hey, send in your stories. We want to publish them and showcase some great men's adventure fiction work. And, dude, we've been blown away for sure.
Yeah.
we'll talk about the finalists, like you said, and you guys will get to see the titles and stuff. We'll talk about just vaguely, I guess. We'll keep it vague, but these will come out throughout the month, and you'll be able to see them. You saw the covers on the Instagram post, but it's just so cool to see. Back to the magazine concept, just a ton of writers coming together to showcase their talents for a genre we love. And so I guess we've already mentioned it a little bit, but first thing to come out May 1st for Men's Adventure Fiction May, the kickoff is Treasure Is My Trade. And it is the perfect kickoff. Sorry. I'm going to keep doing this to you. But it's the perfect kickoff because, dude, I think one of the things about adventure, especially high adventure or, what people think of when they want men's adventure fiction, is a little bit of globetrotting. And I feel like you can speak to this better. Tell us about the locations that we can head to in this book here.
Yeah, so it starts out, and this book kind of has, like, to Luke's point, it is hard to pin down a genre for it because it is written in a very noir, like, descriptive first-person narrative vision and tone. So you do get to know Nate Colt very well. And then that's also kind of multiplied through the action sequences, through all the stuff that goes on with that, which is cool. So it starts out with him in a black tie event, decked out in the tuxedo, at a party of crime, which is pretty cool. So he is a private investigator, international private investigator, and he gets a invitation to come to this event. And he's there, and it's just like every single person there is somehow has their finger in multiple pies of crime, criminal enterprises, all that stuff. He's like, what the hell am I doing here? I'm not, like, I've done stuff that's like on the edge of the law, but I'm not a criminal. In fact, I'm a private investigator. What the hell's going on? But this party is in Turkey, right off of the Aegean Sea. So beautiful mansion, kind of has like stonework castle area. And that's where he's confronted by Lady Drewmore about the mission. And she wants him to go and find something that may not even exist, which is Socrates' scrolls. And if you've seen the trailer, which was at the end of last episode, Nate's like, no, he never wrote any scrolls because the whole point of Socrates was that he wasn't going to keep stuff down, and his pupils carried it on to us. But she's like, no, dude, there's scrolls. So that starts the whole adventure. So there's a map, and he has to go to Africa and find out all sorts of different information. I think the line is, Nate says something like, well, how could the scrolls have gone to Africa? That doesn't make any sense. It was ancient Greece. And she says something like, knowledge travels far. And he says, yeah, that's a good point. So that's kind of the whole idea. Is I wanted to do sort of like a twist. This isn't necessarily like the treasure's not gold, or riches. It actually is like knowledge and figuring out what these great philosophers of the past had to say. So pretty exciting. And then after that, of course, it's a treasure hunt. So it's a wild goose chase to some degree. So they get the next clue, and they have to go to Athens, Greece, and to add a little more excitement, a little more interest into it. Athens is a war-torn city at this point because of a dangerous man named Constantine Ivanovich. So things just go crazy from there. They went crazy before. They keep going crazy.
That's what I mean. That the stakes are always raised. The tension's always there. High adventure, a lot of the times, the plot is not necessarily, and I don't mean this in a derogatory way, but it's very straightforward as far as we know where the X is and we need to get to the X kind of thing.
Right.
But I like how, with the noir influence, you never know who to trust. You never know who's telling me the truth, who's lying, who's double-crossing me. You have a lot of that tension going on in the story. Plus, what you just mentioned there, the war-torn things that just up the stakes and up the ante and up the action.
Yeah.
It's too fun. I love it.
Yeah, and that's the thing, too, is as you read it, you are reading as Nate Colt, right? So you're not getting any information except for the information that he has and is giving you. So it's really, it's on the line between you basically living the story out and also being told the story by a really good friend. So it kind of like blends together. It's like, okay, well, I'm going to get to know this storyteller and how he thinks. And it's me because I wrote it, but it's really, truly like me trying to embody Nate Colt. Like, what would a cool, dangerous, action adventurer whose goal in the adventures is just adventure. Like his plan is to go, like he does this because he loves dangerous things, and he loves having to fight bad guys and find crazy things and go places that have never been seen before. So
Right.
I think that's kind of my heart for writing it, is like, dude, imagine if this was what you could do. It would be so cool. So
That is a perk of the book being first person. I mentioned this in my kind of, it wasn't a full blown review yet or anything, but I put up a post about what I liked about this book, and one of the things was how it puts you in that first person seat of someone like Nate Colt, who, you know, I aspire to be like, and, you know, he
Same.
embodies, he embodies what we want to be. It's so cool to get that close up of a look and that entertaining of a look. You know, it's so easy for our like tough guy characters. And Noah Redford, I like, I struggle to make sure I don't do this, but when they become so just like adventure guy, it's easy for them to be bland and kind of generic and cardboard and
Right.
flat. And you do such a good job of making him have such a personality. It's so fun that you
Thanks,
can,
man.
like, you want to hang out with him. You're like, dude, tell me that was hilarious. Let's go.
yeah.
So I like feeling that way, and I think that's a perk of first person in general, right? Is brings you closer in, makes you feel like, oh yeah, I'm seeing how they think. I think I brought this up before, maybe on the podcast, maybe with you, but you know, it somewhat is. If books are helping you live vicariously, it definitely does that one step further, where it's like, yeah, I also would have thrown that punch, Nate. That's a good idea.
Right.
I thought that too. So it just like kind of puts you in the mix of things. So you gotta love a first person narrative, but they are, at least for me, dude, I struggle with them. I'm trying to, like I told you, my Western that's coming out in July is going to be first person. And I've just been like just rewriting every sentence. I'm like, this is horrible. I don't understand this. But you do it so well. So kudos to you, dude. First
Thanks.
person, you got it locked.
Well, as first person, I feel like is tough too, because if you have, Nate Colt is kind of like always cracking jokes and is a fairly lighthearted person for, I don't know how many people he kills in the book, but it's a good deal of people. So I think it's like, if you're writing a serious first person, it can be very hard to figure out the tone and the proper energy. Like I thought about a relative of Nate Colt, Sal Coltolino from Fighting Heart of Man. I was thinking,
has fought Noah Redford.
yeah, dude, they've been duking it out. We got the crossovers going on. If I since he's a 1920s, 30s gangster kind of character, I was thinking it'd be cool to write him as a first person, but it would be just so difficult to get my mind out of like the Nate Colt first person to be like, all right, well now I got to write someone who's, because Nate Colt is kind of hard boiled, but Sal is nothing but hard boiled. He's like extra hard boiled.
He's been boiled harder.
Yeah, exactly. So it is really like, I think it's something that is fun to do, having a background in acting and wanting to be an actor. It's like, really, okay, what would this character be like? Something that you said that really helped me was casting the character in my mind.
Right.
And for me, for that purpose, like Sal Coltolino is, in my mind, John Bernthal was who I casted him as.
Sick.
So it's
Works,
like, all right, yeah. Well, then I can just start writing him like angry John Bernthal. It's going to be so much easier. So I think that's a really good idea that you brought to the table, of like, find someone that you know well enough from like movies or TV or even in real life, and kind of try and like embody them, because you're a great actor. So that might help.
I definitely, casting them has always helped me, because it's like fan casting is a thing. We all do it. Like,
right.
you know, you're playing Uncharted and you're like, oh, who would play this guy? And like, yeah, it helps you just kind of picture what you would want, and you're kind of, I think that's one of the most important parts about writing, is making sure you're writing the book you want to read.
Yeah, for sure.
And like what you think is missing in the market. I think that's where Nate Colt comes from for you, and where Noah Redford comes from you. Because it's like, people have heard it before. Fire in the Tall Grass came from me being like, oh, season 1 of 1923 Spencer, that was the coolest thing ever. Why did I get 5 minutes of him? I need the whole thing about him, and make it more like Indiana Jones. So yeah, definitely a part of it. And to your point, the tone and the voice, especially when it's a serious. And what I found even harder about this one is he's from the 1800s.
Right.
So every time I phrase something, I'm like, wait a second. Because you've caught this even in my Noah Redford writing. You're like, I don't think they said that in the 20s. So they didn't say that in the 1800s for sure. So I'm like, oh no. When people talk like this is not fun for me. So it'll be fun once it's done. But this has been a process for sure.
Yeah, dude, that's very layered. I think it was Sam Whitfield who was talking about like his political thriller that he was writing in the late 70s, early 80s. And I was like, man, dude, I can't imagine writing about geopolitics now, but I can't imagine doing it for the 70s or 80s. Like there's no chance. I just could never figure that out. So to factor that into like language from 1875 or 90 or whatever the book takes place, like, dude, what would they say? What were the things that they like
the whole time?
I know, even like something I noticed in what was the American Primeval?
Yeah.
The Jim Bridger, I think, was the character who was smoking a pipe all the time. I don't think that they had the pipe materials that he was smoking the pipe from. Like briar was found, I think, in like 1850, so it would have been very like right on the cusp of that happening. So usually back then they would smoke either corn cobs or like clay pipes for the most part. And the stem, I'm sure that they had some sort of like stem material that would work, but it looked very much like a modern acrylic stem to me.
You got him, dude.
So I was sitting there watching that. I was like, dude, this kind of is like pulling me out a little bit, which is just like stupid little stuff like that.
Right.
Which is the problem, though, is that there's people that are much worse than me that are going to read your book and they'll be like,
right. I'm going to have them smoke a pipe and they'll be like, no.
Pipes didn't exist.
Good times, dude.
Yeah,
That's
dude.
what's fun about it. I mean, that it is hard, but when you're a writer and you want to write, this is like the best hard thing you can do. So I can't complain.
And one of the best pieces of advice I had about writing, and it was from you, was you were like, I think I was talking about the toggle handles on a parachute or something like that. I was like, I don't know if that's I'm pretty sure that's the right term. And you're like, well, dude, you're writing fiction. It's not, it's made up. Everything is made up. They're not people, because that's the thing. It's so funny how our minds are able to like be like, oh yeah, this random character who's totally made up could do all this stuff. But as soon as you put in like one detail that's not perfectly right, they're like, oh, I don't believe it anymore. It's like, dude, no one could kill. The John Wick movies don't work because no one's going to kill 300 guys by himself and all of them have bulletproof armor. Like, that's not going to happen. Like, so just stop believing right then, you know? So
Suspension of disbelief, guys. It is men's adventure fiction, after all.
Exactly. Well said.
Should that bring us into men's adventure fiction, May? I can pull up the
Let's do it.
Instagram post. We could talk about
for sure. I'll pull it up too.
Upcoming books. So we're not doing any particular order or anything. This is just the finalists because we're keeping it close to the vest. Week by week, we're going to announce a winner. 4th place, 3rd place, 2nd place, and 1st place. And that'll come out week by week throughout May. But here are the finalists. Not on my Instagram. That's why I can't find it. Going on. Got to go to Veritas.
Yeah, dude.
All right. So just scrolling across. The first one is, I wonder if my phone would show up. Pool of the Tide.
Yeah, very cool.
Very sick. So you guys can get kind of the nautical adventure vibes from that.
Right.
London in the name gives me a little bit Jack London vibes as well. So that works out.
Yeah, it does
I like
work
that.
out.
That's very sick. Longwood Trail. Obviously, Western vibes here. Very sick. Very nice. I think you made a great comparison, or someone did, with No Country to Old Men, or No Country for Old Men. Great vibes. Similar vibes. Very nice. But it's classic Western, right?
Yeah,
not modern Western. Because I think No Country for Old Men is like 50s or something like that.
Yeah,
40s.
Like maybe 80s even.
It might even be 80s. Yeah, you're right. I haven't seen it in a while. I got to rewatch that movie.
It's a good one.
Dude, next one from an alumni of the show. You got Terrence Leahy's Unwanted Passenger. Look at that, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Any kind of story with an aviator, you got me. I'm in. I'm in. So that's fantastic, and it's from a very talented writer. You know, with Terrence Leahy, Suit Up Podcast. If you haven't checked that out, you got to.
Yeah, for sure.
Next one, switching to the noir vibes. Cherry Blossoms by Midnight.
Yeah, that's a very fun one.
Any kind of noir detective as well, also locked in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And period piece a little bit as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Next one.
1930s, I think.
Yeah, I was gonna guess, but I didn't want to get it wrong. So glad you took this down.
Of course.
Next one is The Hound and the Scorpion. So we're looking at some Irish military fiction here, which is super cool. Like I don't obviously read a lot of Irish fiction in general, probably, let alone Irish military. So it was cool for me to check that story out. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Sunrise Over the Valley, another Western vibe here.
Yeah, for sure.
From a Western writer as well. Goes by George Cottonwood, right?
I think so.
Okay.
He's the man.
George Cottonwood. I did put the wrong name on this one, so that will be changed when it comes out. I put the real name, not the writer name. Then the next one is Noir Vibes in Dinner for One. Dinner for One, another sweet kind of period piece, noir. A little bit high, not high adventure, but high action, kind of more action. He turns
Slips
it out
in
very
some
sick.
Espionage stuff.
Yeah, very cool. Next one is Lady Evil. So this is for the genre blending, kind of Mad Max, Sword and Sorcery. If you like any of that kind of stuff, this one will be the different flavor for you. As far as if you're like, stop giving me the noir, stop giving me the high adventure, stop giving me the war.
Yeah,
this will be something totally new for you.
This one's like a apocalyptic high fantasy, I think.
Yeah,
is the best way
nice.
to
Well
describe
said. Well said.
Yeah. There you go.
That's the list, guys, and that is the finalists for Men's Adventure Fiction May. And I guess you can edit this out if you want to, but should we drop the fact that they will get a chance to read all of the finalists, because we will put out every story, because these guys wrote such good stories that we want you to be able to read them. Like, we don't want to talk about them here, get you hyped, show you the cover, and be like, yeah, well, they didn't win, so you don't get to see.
You can never see this.
No,
These just go into the archives.
We're going to do the top 4, and we'll release them, as we said, once a week. But then we're going to drop the rest of them so you guys can check these stories out, and so these authors can have these stories that they work so hard on be seen, because they're all worth your time.
Yeah, for sure.
And we definitely didn't want to waste their time of being like, no, sorry, try again next time. I'm very excited to get these out to your guys' hands, and so you guys can build relationships with these authors and be like, I loved your work. You guys start talking. Maybe we all come in the Discord and we're chatting about what's next, because that's all we're trying to do here, Nathanael and I, is like just build this community back up so we can crank out pulp like it used to, and have just a whole Rolodex of writers on deck for, hey, I need a sword and sorcery story. I've been fiending. You're like, hey, I got a guy for you. Come check this out. And, we're all helping each other. We're all building projects together. Which we will get to in the end is kind of what's coming next, right up next in July. We have a few things for writers, and of course filmmakers, which we've mentioned. Yeah. But yeah, this is an exciting thing. I'll let you talk, because I've been rambling, but I'm pumped.
No, you're good. You're killing it.
I'm on coffee.
I think this is the incredible opportunity that we have with partnering with Veritas Entertainment to make all this stuff happen. So sick that this is the point. Casey's vision for Veritas was breaking down the walls of entertainment and changing things from what they were. And he had that in a production mindset. And then once he saw how successful Vipers and Red Rocks was, and then how this podcast really is hitting a hole in the market, that people love this content. People love good stories in this genre, out of this genre, just across the board. They want well-told stories. And I've said this before on the podcast. We've got our top 10 list of best actors, best writers, fill in the blanks. Daniel Day-Lewis is one of the greatest actors of all time, right? Yeah. Ernest Hemingway is one of the greatest writers of all time. But you know who's better? Someone that we've never heard of, right? Because this industry is so much like, oh, you just got the right place, right time, got lucky. And that means that there's so many people. There's someone probably in a freaking dinner theater sitting there quoting Shakespeare perfectly, bringing the tear to everybody's eye, and they're never going to get out of that dinner theater because they're in like Conshohocken, New Jersey or something.
Not going to get the right break, not the right people seeing them.
Right, and that's the idea too with these books. Reading these men's adventure fiction May submissions. It's like, man, it's like the heyday of the pulp adventure mags, the men's adventure fiction books, like the magazines that came out once a month, once a week, where you're reading this stuff and you're like, damn, this is going to stand the test of time. Just thinking of like Earl Stanley Gardner, Lester Dent.
Dude, I was reaching for this because it makes me think of like, dude, they used to. What number is this? This is 14 in this series. That you guys
J.D. Hardin, dude. Who the heck is that?
People, yeah, that's what I mean. People never heard of it, and they're like, "What's Raider?"
Right.
It's sick. That's what it is. And here's the 14th book. What happened to this era where where publishers were like, "Yeah, we'll take your 14 book mini pulp Western series. Let's do it." And
I'll publish the heck out of that. Yeah, very interesting. I've been listening to Louis L'Amour's Lost Treasures on audiobook, and Beau L'Amour, I think, writes. They're really cool because they're part essay, part story. So it's basically like a breakdown of Louis's journey through being a writer, and it talks a lot about how, I mean, back before World War II, you were able to write stuff like "Treasure is my trade." Just write it in. Or even this, you could serialize it. Just send it in to the editor. They're like, dude, that's too big for us to publish in one go. But we'll publish it over the next 8 weeks or 8 months, because they were doing monthly releases. So you'd have your finger in all of these pots. You'd be in like Argosy. You'd be in Adventure Magazine. You'd be in I don't know, all of them. Just everything that you got going on. You'd be sending your stuff out, and hundreds of writers were making money, enough money to live off of. And then he was saying that basically with World War II, all of that high adventure, all of that kind of like war stuff was a little too front and center. So it kind of stressing people out to do that. And that's when the shift happened to these smaller paperbacks we got like this size. And he was saying something along the lines of like, back in the day, there was no such thing as genre fiction. Yeah, dude, there you go. It was by publisher. So they would have like the publisher section, and it would have literally everything. But this was kind of the shift, and they shifted heavily to Westerns because it was like, all right, this is very much like cathartic to the people, because it calls back like old Americana, which is nice to have after a big war where the American lifestyle was almost lost, or at least feared to be lost because of the Nazis and the Axis powers. So it was able to kind of like bridge this gap. And that was part of the whole concept that Beau L'Amour was talking about with Louis. Is like, Louis was like, I love writing Westerns, but I don't want to get shoehorned into one singular genre, which is why he wrote stuff like Ponga Jim and Last of the Breed is a prime example of him.
Dude, Last of the Breed is one of the best books ever, dude. Survivalist fiction, 80s, in the 80s. And that book will make you feel like you could survive in the wilderness. You might not actually be able to, but after reading it, you'll be like, dude, I know.
It's easy. I got it from here.
Got this. I'll just follow the river, too.
Yeah, it's too easy. And so to stop waxing eloquent, just to come back and say, to have a creator-driven production company, publishing house, entertainment company, it is an incredible blessing to be involved with, to be here with you guys who, I mean, we're figuring out, pinning down the top 4 winners, but we're sitting here with extra stories, and it's like, dude, these are too good to let them pass by, and you guys are too good of a writers. You answered the call that we requested. We needed content, we needed novellas, and you guys did it, and we want to honor that by giving you guys the opportunity to have your work shown. Because I mean, how hard is it to get a publisher, to get with someone like Penguin Random House is just crazy, and then you're working with an agent. You can't do stuff on your own. You got to go through all these different things, but to have the backing of a big company that's going to help with cover design, going to help with editing, going to help with formatting, there's nothing like it, So I think that it's just really cool to see that person who's been writing stuff better than Hemingway for the last 10 years, and nobody freaking knows about it because it's such a small world, to give them the opportunity and a platform to show their work is just what it's all about.
Yeah, dude, well said. Nothing I can add to that, because you're just hitting exactly we have the same heart and mind about this stuff. It's so great to have this opportunity, Men's Adventure Fiction May is just the beginning, and it's getting me so excited for what's to come, because we are, just taking submissions and moving forward. We'll have new competitions. Like we want to showcase the writers. So this is just a fun time, and you said it well. I think it's really cool to see what we're gonna do with this and how we're going to bring out such talent and show such talent to the world that it shifts, hopefully, the way things are being done, and it isn't such an exclusive invite-only club anymore to like the bigger things. Yeah, well said. I don't need to add. You crushed it, dude.
Thanks,
fantastic work. But that is the books to look forward to. Starting May 6th will be the first release. So did that happen already with you guys watching it? Probably. So you guys can go pick up the book right now. It'll be linked below, and you guys can get started on your Men's Adventure Fiction May reading.
Oh, yeah, dude.
And now we can, I believe, time to touch on some of the movie releases, right?
Yeah, for real.
Stuff coming out in May, because we did just throw out Men's Adventure Fiction May because it was like, hey, that sounds great.
That's a great title.
And where there was enough time for people to get their submissions in, so yeah, Men's Adventure Fiction May sounds good. But didn't realize that Hollywood got the memo, because they got a ton of stuff coming out in May. Not the least of which being, maybe we start with Fountain of Youth. I feel like that's a sick one to start with.
It is a sick one.
Of all of them, other than Mission Impossible, probably most anticipated. And I think there are days where I'm more anticipating Fountain of Youth, but then I have some reservations and I don't know what to expect. I know what to expect. I think you made this point too. Like, I know Ethan Hunt's going to be in all of it. I know it's going to be this,
Right.
So I think that's the one thing drawing me back. But I am extremely pumped for Fountain of Youth, because we have a chance at something new and on brand for high adventure men's adventure fiction.
Yeah, seriously.
And made by one of my favorite filmmakers ever, Guy Ritchie. Like, this could be just amazing. And I don't want to get my hopes up too high. I have a tendency of doing this to myself. But I'm looking forward to it. What are your thoughts on Fountain of Youth, my friend?
I hugely anticipating it. I remember you brought it up, I think. I had no idea that it was even around. And I think it was on our 2025 year in preview. And you were like, yeah, there's this Guy Ritchie treasure hunting movie. And I was like, what? Dude, Guy Ritchie's making a treasure hunting movie?
Gotta get on this.
And this is to your point of like hesitance and a little bit of concern, is that with treasure hunting, I think we talked about this a little bit last week, one of the greatest movies of all time in Raiders of the Lost Ark, and then Temple of Doom and Last Crusade all have like this very high level of quality, production quality. But as we talked about on the Terrence Lehue Suit Up the podcast, the Indiana Clones is what I think he titled them. You just had a swath of really bad movies come out that were like entertaining, but just low production quality. Everyone was kind of like, I'm going to cash in on this thing. And then you had National Treasure, which kind of came around and reset things to some degree, but it took a very different approach. It's very much more like a civilian going on an adventure. And it's not really, his goal is not punching people or having like a big adventure. His goal is solely the history, which is cool. History is a good thing, and we definitely should pursue that. But that's where my biggest concern is are we going to get a very clearly like Indiana Jones-esque movie, or are we going to get a National Treasure kind of movie? It looks like they did bring a lot of really sick stunts, but John Krasinski's character is an art thief, I believe, from the second trailer. And he's got some fire fits. He's whipping around in that sick convertible. There's a couple chase scenes. But it looks like his number one response is like, all right, I need to get out of this situation, not I'm going to go punch the guy, So I'm a little concerned about that it's just going to be him running from fights the whole entire time or doing the classic kind of fight scene where he's like on the back foot the whole time and he's never really like initiating the attack. But I think it looks really good, and I was literally, my jaw dropped when I saw the trailer release and it said May 23rd, and I was like, dude, Everybody knows it's men's
Everybody
adventure
knows
fiction.
I got the memo. Yeah, man, well said. The concern is for sure real for us, and this is just us being picky and knowing what, I mean, that's why we write what we write.
Yeah.
You want it to be so specifically this. I'm with you. Like, it's probably going to be awesome. It's probably going to, it could, let's say, let me put it this way. It could be perfect in a lot of people's eyes. It could be incredible, the set pieces, fantastic, costumes, everything could be on point, except if the character is that way, like philosophically, if he's like not a fighter and he's not aggressive and there's not gunfights, then we are just gonna be a little off put by it. That's just our own personal taste coming into it for sure. But I have high hopes. I know you do as well, and I think even if it's not exactly what we want, it'll be so nice to have a big budget adventure story again.
Yeah,
just because
for real.
This is, Uncharted, Jungle Cruise, Lost City, like they're
Jumanji, kind of.
Jumanji, yeah, like these are, and that's the sad state of things is I've watched Jumanji over and over because it's like that's one of the bigger examples we have right now. Like, this is the closest I can get to a jungle adventure. Sure, it's fun, but like, is that what I want? Not really. Like, I would much prefer to see Indy hanging on the tank, getting smushed up against the wall. Give me that.
Right.
But
grabbing the Luger and shooting through the 3 guys in a row.
Yes,
It's so cool.
So I think this, either way, I'm gonna be happy. I'm gonna be watching it with a smile on my face. Sadly, on a small screen.
Yeah,
What
what's
the
up
heck's
with
that
that?
about? But I will be watching with a smile on my face, and it'll be good times. But hopefully, this thing blows our minds, and there's actually way more action than we're anticipating.
Yeah.
But let me know your guys' thoughts on all these. But specifically, I'm very curious what, like, the Men's Adventure Fiction podcast watchers, listeners, like the fans of this genre, what are your takes on Fountain of Youth? What are your concerns and your hopes, and kind of where you at with Fountain of Youth?
Yeah.
'Cause it's a big one.
It looks like John Krasinski's an art thief. His sister is some sort of Natalie Portman, great actress, some sort of professor, I think. And so he has to recruit her to go and find the Fountain of Youth. And they get, I believe her name is pronounced Isa Gonzalez, in Ministry of Ungentle Warfare. She's got some really good acting chops. She's just she plays a very good badass. It looks like she's some sort of private military contractor kind of person. So she's going to be, I think, the guns behind it, which would be cool. It looks like like I said, the action does look very high octane. It looks like there's a lot happening. We talked right before recording the Fountain of Youth. You said, and I agree wholeheartedly, it's kind of a bland name. Like it gets the point across, I guess, that this is going to be a treasure hunt, and we're looking for the Fountain of Youth. Unless that's just like the biggest red herring of all time, which would be crazy if they did that. But I think that it really looks like a nod to not even necessarily just Indiana Jones, but the serials that inspired it. So I'm pretty excited, but I am I'm holding my hand open. I'm not grabbing onto my expectations for that one.
There you go.
So we'll see.
Well said. Yeah, dude, just Raiders of the Lost Ark. Sick.
Yeah.
Fountain of Youth. Very generic.
They couldn't have even done Finders of the Fountain of Youth, which isn't even much better, but it's just
that'd be the equivalent of just calling it Ark of the Covenant.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Okay. Sick. Holy Grail. Which maybe even works better, but Fountain of Youth?
What Temple of Doom would be? Sankara stones? Was that what it was?
Yeah, Sankara stones or whatever it is.
What the heck is that?
Worst titles of all time. Crystal Skull. Nothing else.
Yeah, dude.
That one would kind of be sick.
Yeah.
Crystal Skull is not bad.
Crystal Skulls.
I mean, the movie, it's debatable. I like it, but I'm saying the title is not that bad.
Dial of Destiny is almost the same
That's
thing.
where they got it, dude.
Right. We started with Raiders of the Lost Ark, and then we just slowly cut off the other part.
The next one's just going to be called Treasure.
Yeah, dude.
That's your next one. Treasure my trade? Nah.
Just Treasure.
Treasure.
Forget the is my trade.
Forget all of that. We just need Treasure. The next one I have here is Thunderbolt Suit. What are your thoughts on this?
Dude, I think we've talked about this before. My love for the MCU has waned and waxed. It's disappearing, dude. I'm losing interest. But the only thing that did keep me going for the longest time, and the reason that I loved it so much, was that it was grounded in Captain America having very practical stunts.
Right.
He's just a dude. He's just the peak of physical perfection because of the super soldier serum. And he's got kind of like the classic cowboy values, like very I mean, he's Captain America. He's an American dude. Yeah, exactly. So you have that, and then to see just like, I don't know, it's something in you that really like feeds off of, you're looking at this 9.5, 10-foot tall purple alien who's destroyed the world, and there's a dude with just a shield with the American flag on it and his fists punching this dude. It's like, hell yeah, dude. I love that. It makes you just proud to be an American and proud to, so I loved those movies. I thought they really brought that whole world together, and we've talked about it before in the Discord, I think on the podcast. The first Avenger is literally just a pulp movie, you know?
Yeah.
It's such a good movie. So much fun. So to have Bucky come back after kind of like several inglorious things where he really didn't get any sort of attention, and Bucky being one of the coolest characters in the MCU. I mean, a brainwashed Russian hitman, Hydra hitman, dude, so sick. I love that. Because it pulls in the Cold War stuff like high espionage, an assassin, crazy knife fights, really cool. And now he's back, but he's back with a team of misfits. I think in the trailer yesterday, because I just went to see a movie yesterday, they were talking about Yelena, I think, was like, so none of us have superpowers, we all just punch and shoot. And it's like, yes, dude, finally, bring back some punching and shooting to the MCU, because that's what we need. We need practical effects. Let's make it happen. So I'm cautiously optimistic. I have a terrible feeling, because of course the trailers are all like game-changing for the MCU. Redefining the superhero genre. It's like, it's gonna flop, dude. I've got a terrible feeling it's gonna make like $3 on opening night, and everybody's like, this movie's terrible. Like, the actors had good chemistry, but everything else was just bad. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, great points. Thunderbolts could go any direction because it's modern MCU. And dude, I'm trying to think of the last one I liked. What is the last MCU movie I liked? Do you know what it is? Because, I mean, it's got to be Infinity War, probably. Not Endgame, Infinity War. I didn't like Endgame.
Really?
Thought it was overly long, just a rehash of so many things. It was a long movie. Like, I don't know. It was fine. It wasn't like actively bad like a lot of the stuff moving forward was. But it was just like, all right, Infinity War was sick. And then you follow it up with that. I wasn't that into it.
Yeah.
So it might have been Infinity War.
I liked No Way Home, the Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
I mean, spoilers, I guess, bringing back the other Spider-Man.
Yeah, if you don't know that at this point, that's impressive, honestly. Super impressive that you don't know
I knew that before the movie was out, unfortunately.
Right.
The other one would be the first 2/3 of Shang-Chi were really good.
Oh, no. Yeah, not for me.
I really liked the fight sequence on the trolley, and then the fight sequence on the side of the building with the scaffolding. I thought both of those were sick. And then they just went to like CGI land, and the whole movie tanked. Right. Not a fan of that.
To your point, that's why this could potentially work, is if it is like more grounded. But we'll see, like if they're actually going to hold up on that promise or not. I think what's drawing me most is the characters themselves. Like Bucky, to your point, is one of my favorites. If not at current, he's my favorite. Before he wasn't. He was up there, but he wasn't my favorite. But he's now probably my favorite in the MCU. And then
Daredevil and Punisher both exist.
Okay, well, Punisher, never mind. No, take it back. But
sorry.
Bucky Barnes is still amazing. All right, and we got him.
He's top 3 for sure.
And also, I think even just on the same level as Walker, is that his character's name?
Yeah.
Whatever, like the weird Captain America spin-off guy.
Yeah, I think it's John Walker.
John Walker. I've never seen a single thing he's done. But I like what his vibe is in the trailer. I like what it seems like his story. Like, I really just resonated with him sitting next to his kid, like, and he was looking at his phone. There was some kind of bad article about him.
Yeah.
And I was like, this guy, I want this guy to be in the movie. I want to follow this guy's story. So I'm interested.
He seems like a lot of potential.
Did you watch the show he was in at all?
Yeah, he's in Captain America.
Was he any good in that, or is that
Winter
awful?
Soldier or Falcon and the Winter Soldier? Basically, he is the guy they choose to replace Captain America.
Right.
So he has like this crazy backstory of he's like a war hero essentially, and they hire him and they give him the super soldier serum, and then he can't hold it together. He can't live up to the hype. Everyone's like, "Oh, you're a loser." So it's very much like he has a tough time figuring that out. And then he kind of goes off the rails, and he is sort of the villain for the season, which is cool because, I mean, that's the whole point of the Thunderbolts,
Right.
is that they're all bad guys. So
Yeah, it's like their version of Suicide Squad, which I also enjoy both Suicide Squads. I don't care what people say about the one with Jared Leto. I still like it. I thought it was super fun. Saw it. Like
I've actually
5
not
times.
seen that one.
I saw it 5 times in theaters, dude.
Nice, dude.
And I
That's a
own it.
commitment right
And
there.
then I watched it a million times after that. So people are probably like, "Okay, anything this guy says, I'm not taking. I don't like."
Well, I've heard that like real movie fans actually like it. Like a lot of
It's just
people
so much
do
fun.
like
I don't
it.
know. It was so much action. It was cool.
Yeah,
The
I'm
soundtrack
excited to
was
watch
really
it
fun,
sometime.
so.
Yeah,
It was all right.
nice, dude.
But yeah, I
Hopefully,
think,
Thunderbolts isn't an unpopular thing to like, and hopefully they actually do a good job with it.
yeah. So I think we hit the main points. It's that, whoa, hard to trust you now, MCU. You've done a lot of bad to me. It's been unfortunate downfall
Yeah, like-
since Infinity War.
5 to 6 years of bad movies.
Yeah, so it's like hard to trust you, but I like what you're showing me. It seems like there could be something here. Although some of those trailers for the last Captain America also look kind of cool and grounded, but I heard that wasn't the case.
Yeah, it's a tough one, dude.
We'll see. We'll check
see.
back. Hold up. We got to talk about Treasure Is My Trade. This is very important. Nathanael Hummel, the very man himself, has released his debut novel, Treasure Is My Trade, and you guys have helped this thing become such a success that it's our first Veritas bestseller. This was made the true bestseller list, not just the new releases, so kudos to you, Mr. Nathaniel. That is fantastic news. This is so sweet. If you guys love anything we talk about on this podcast, this is everything distilled down into one character. He's a little bit of James Bond. He's a little bit of Indiana Jones. He's a little bit swashbuckler. He's a little bit 100% badass. So it's a great book. You got to get your hands on it. Like I said, it's going to be the adventure book of the summer, so don't miss out on that fun. What are you doing? Nathaniel, take it away. I know you have a few things to add, a few things to say before we get back into things.
Thank you guys so much for checking out Treasure Is My Trade. It's been sitting around, I don't know, somewhere in the top 20 for new releases since it released almost a week ago. Pretty exciting stuff. So thank you guys so much for being a part of this. But if you want to win a copy, you need the secret word. And this is also a little bit of a sneak preview for next week. We're going to be talking about the secret word, swashbuckler. So go ahead and email us, swashbuckler, and you can win this, Fire in the Tall Grass and Fighting Heart of Man, as well as the microblade from WESN, a sheath, and the carabiner, made of pure titanium. You don't want to miss it.
Too sick.
Don't want to miss it, dude. But that's all for now.
Back to our programming. I don't know, which one should we do next? Maybe Karate Kid Legends?
Yeah.
All right, guys, there's another Karate Kid coming out, which I'm the biggest Cobra Kai fan on the planet, probably. I love that show so much. And
That's a good one.
What's confusing me and crossing my wires and making me annoyed with this is that Daniel LaRusso's in it, but he's not Cobra Kai Daniel LaRusso. Like, is that the case? Because Johnny's not in it, Miguel's not in it. Like, they're not touching that universe. They're supposed to be, like, severed and separate. So if I'm supposed to believe that this is the same Danny and he doesn't have his daughter and his son, like, I don't know how they're going to handle it, but that is my biggest concern, is, like, I've grown so attached to this new lore with him, and I know so much about this new lore with him. How am I going to not have that bleed over? But
that's interesting. I didn't realize that. From the trailer, it looked like he was in the dojo that he's in Cobra Kai when they go and visit him.
Yeah, because that's I wonder if it's Karate Kid too. Yeah. Like,
yeah.
That's where Miyagi trained him.
I wonder if it's just like watching the trailer. I was like, this is so tonally different from Cobra Kai, I feel like. And it does have a higher production value because it's a movie, so I'm sure there's a lot more money into it. So I was very much like, oh, this is weird. I wonder if it's just going to be like Cobra Kai happened, but it doesn't matter.
Right. They
And for this
could.
movie, you know.
They definitely could, I think, work it where Cobra Kai all still exists and it doesn't mess with that too much. It's just, it's going to feel weird that Johnny's not in it. You know, like Johnny Lawrence doesn't show up at all. That's super weird to me, especially because like where they left off with the show and stuff. It just, I don't know. But
doesn't make sense.
with that being said, that's just a random concern I have. I do think, to your point that you made before we recorded, the trailer looks solid as far as there's a lot of solid action in it. I'm sure the fights will be really cool. I'm sure it'll be fun, and I'm a sucker for like 80s action and that kind of stuff. So 80s action combat sports films too, with the training montages, give me blood sport, give me kickboxer, like it gives me a lot of those vibes, which I'm going to enjoy. It's just kind of slightly annoying to me that we're doing almost the same plot again. With Karate Kid,
It does
like,
look very much the same.
change it up, please. But I'll take what I can get, and I'll probably have a great time with it, and I'll probably get hyped, and I'll want to work out. So that's what the movie needs to do. It'll execute on it, and I'll be happy.
Yeah, it's literally the same thing as the first Karate Kid, right? Like, kid
like, moves, gets bullied.
Yeah, moves, totally new place, meets a girl. Of course, the girl is like involved with the biggest bully of all time. And this one's interesting though because he already comes from, I think, a kung fu background.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see, like, oh, he's already a martial artist. How is he gonna adapt to overcome this? So it looks pretty good. I was sitting there in the theater seeing the trailer. I was like, man, this looks pretty good. But to your point, it's like it looks just as good as Karate Kid 1 did. You know, like it's literally we are retreading old ground. Which to that point, it's like maybe that is a good thing because the kids nowadays are gonna like try and watch Karate Kid and be like, why is it so grainy? Like, what am I looking at?
Yeah, maybe it'll be the Creed to
Yeah.
Rocky, even though Cobra Kai was already that, so back off. But they'll do it again with this movie, which would be an easier in for some people, especially because you don't have to know anything about Cobra Kai. You could definitely watch it without knowing, but it enhances it. So you probably don't need to know as much going into these, hopefully, into Legends.
Which is interesting, though, because do you have to also watch the Jaden
2010
Smith
one or whatever?
Yeah. Like, what are the layers here? Like, what are we working with here?
It's a bit convoluted, a bit confusing, but since he's a martial artist, you do have higher capacity for, like, more engaging fights, I guess. Because if you watch Karate Kid, like, it's pretty standard. You know, Cobra Kai got outlandish, but I think this one looks like with the weird ladder flip kick thing, like, it looks like we're going to do some cooler martial arts stunts, which would be kind of sweet. So
yeah, it will be cool.
We'll give it that.
I'm excited, which I wasn't expecting to be excited. Seeing that there was a new Karate Kid when I just saw the poster, I was like,
yeah.
I mean, cool that they're weird. I guess it was like, since Cobra Kai is so successful, they were like, we got the Jackie Chan, Jaden Smith one, and we gotta somehow like interweave the tapestry. We gotta figure this out because I've never seen that one, to be honest. I don't think I've seen Karate Kid 3 either. Maybe not even 2, I don't know. But I was thinking, like, was that a thing in that Karate Kid that it was in the universe? I didn't even realize.
I don't remember. It was, I don't know, I feel like we all took it that it wasn't in the universe because his name is Mr. Lee, I think, not Mr. Miyagi, but he's very, like, they have some weird, very, like, similarities in their backstory. Not exactly the same. I feel
so
like,
it's like it felt like a soft reboot.
Yeah, it felt like they were trying to do very much so.
Just like a remake almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So it's tough. But I do think they're safe in that he had kind of a more fleshed out Mr. Miyagi character, like Mr. Lee, whatever Jackie Chan's character's name was. Maybe Mr. Chan? Who knows? Whatever his character's name was, he had a better fleshed out backstory than Miyagi, I think. At least if we're going 1-to-1, like Karate Kid 1 to Karate Kid 1. It's
so also Karate.
If we're going 1-to-1, I liked his story where he like lost his family in a car accident or something, and every year he rebuilds the car and then destroys it for catharsis, and then like rebuilds it again. So it's a cool story that still stuck with me, and I saw it probably twice in my life maybe. So that was really cool writing. So I think he's safe as far as like they made a separation enough that they could do this. Obviously they got away with it, so it'll be interesting to see how this turns out.
Yeah, we'll see.
Again, with a lot of these, it can go wildly in any direction. Next one, let's go Last Rodeo.
Sure.
Because this one I don't know much about, but it's from Angel Studios, which have been kind of killing it with some movies lately.
Yeah.
I'm sure they have a few that have just like whiffed and made no money and that we don't know about, but like they've absolutely had some huge movies. I can think of obviously Sound of Freedom being the movie of summer 2 years ago or last year, whatever it was. Big, massive deal. And then
what's crazy is that one actually outperformed Mission Impossible.
Really?
Dead Reckoning. And like weeks 3 and 4.
Dude.
Like Mission Impossible had the original draw, but then as it went, like Sound of Freedom had incredible staying power.
Right. Really
I actually have not seen it yet.
Really?
Somehow. But I've heard only good things. And I love Jim Caviezel. He plays John Reese on Person of Interest.
Yes, he does.
Which is one of my favorite TV shows. So,
what's the movie that came out this year for them, or like last year?
Like
they had another one. Homestead, dude. And it's apparently a show and a movie, right? Homestead, there's a TV show. Homestead,
really?
there's a movie. And I have not seen those ones at all. But that's pretty interesting. And I know it's doing gangbusters as well. And it's their flagship, I think, for their streaming service, where it's like, here's the movie. Now here's the TV show. Go pay us money. And it's like, well, I'm not going to do that. But it is cool. If it eventually comes on Amazon, I'm going to be first in line for Homestead. I think it looks kind of cool. It's like post-apocalypse, modern Western. Very sick.
Yeah, it looks pretty solid.
And they're taking that actor, which I'm sorry I don't know his name.
I think it's Neil McDonough.
Dude, this is why you get paid the big bucks. You know everything. Genius.
He was made famous by Band of Brothers, I believe.
Yes.
He played Buck, right?
I don't remember who he played, but he is in Band of Brothers.
Could be
but
wrong.
You are
Could
the
be
man. So I trust you. I'm going to look it up real quick to get the plot, but they're taking him, and he's going to be the star of this one, which is more so a modern Western.
Yeah, for sure.
Obviously,
I think
rodeo.
Rodeo. I thought he's like an old rodeo star, and he tried to get out of the game, but they keep pulling him back in, dude.
It looks like a classic. Like it says, 50-year-old man returns to the sport of bull riding after a crisis strikes his family. So it looks like the classic, like, we got to get the money for the operation, but you're too old. Get a game. It'll be cheesy.
Gotta do it.
Yeah, it'll be cheesy, heartfelt. I'll be like, yeah, let's go. And hopefully it gives you some good feels. I like that about them is Angel Studios, dude. Well, I guess we can't say this because that movie was not good. The Sound of Freedom was good, but it was like not what I'm about to say. But a lot of the times they're very like, values based and uplifting.
Yeah.
Tough to say the Sound of Freedom because that one was so very bleak. But for the most part, it seems like this movie is going for that like triumphant spirit, which I'm into, and I like that kind of stuff. I like optimism in my movies.
Yeah, I agree. It looks pretty good. I remember you sent me. Did you see it from that Western News guy? Was it?
I think I saw it on just YouTube, like a trailer pop up.
I remember you sent it to me. I was like, oh yeah, dude, this looks cool. It's cool. It's interesting too because we've got the Brandon Sklenar movie coming out, which is also a rodeo movie.
Yeah.
So I think that the return of the Western is a really good thing. And I think that if we can do it in a way that's not like you've mentioned before, I feel like so many of the Westerns are just like only ever revisionist Westerns where it's like, it was a bad time and everybody died. And it's like, that's like a good story. You can definitely write good stories, but if that's the only thing that's coming in from the Westerns, like, man, this is kind of sad. Like, I want what the Westerns once were, where it's like, white hat, black hat, they're going to fight, and the white hat is going to win. So
right.
I think that's a cool thing to have because it is like, not to get too formulaic or anything because that can not be fun. Like you still want engaging stories, but it is good to have like a very clear cut good and evil and have them come together and fight. I think I really enjoy that.
Yeah, man. Well said. You don't want to lose, what that was and what it did for people.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. I've been watching a good amount of like war films lately, and of course they're like the war is hell movies, and they have their place and they're super important. But then you'll watch one every once in a while that has like its goal is patriotism and to get you like honestly to get people to like enlist, and so
Right.
you don't like you need both sides of the coin. Like yeah, show me what the parts of the Western and like the Western era were horrible, and like wow, we should really take a look at that and examine that history. But then also give me the positives, like the morals
Right.
and the ideals, and give me something to strive for as well. You got to have. I think we have to have both. You know what I mean? I
Yeah, I
like
agree.
having the gambit and showing me the different philosophies. And again, with just the way media has been for so long, it's been anti-hero, it's been nihilism, it's been bleak, and I even fell into that trap. Like my first couple of books were darker, way darker, and it's like, man, I think we're just tired of that. I think our staminas run low for
Right.
bleak, nihilistic stories. I think we want a little bit of heroism
Yeah.
and
For sure.
that old school feeling.
Well, and that's the thing too. It's like we said, talking about No Country for Old Men. That's a phenomenal movie, and I really enjoy it. And there's a lot of like revisionist westerns or westerns that are more like realistic and less of like, oh, the good guy's always going to win. That are really really well done, and I really enjoy. And I think that I mean, Taxi Driver is one of my favorite movies,
Right.
and that's a pretty bleak movie.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
you're like, is this guy trying to assassinate a political candidate? What's going on? So there's like so many layers to that sort of stuff. But I think that, and I think I talked about this last year when we started the podcast. Like, there was a string of time where I was just doing everything outside, and I was having a great time, and I was very much like feeding the inner cowboy, but I was not feeding the inner James Bond that wanted to get in a tuxedo and go like walk
Yeah.
down a river on the like casino areas of the
Right.
French Riviera or whatever, like really high class stuff. So I think that we have been fed to overfull with the bleak, like anti-hero, Sigma male, dark stories, just like revisionist westerns, which is fine. Like I said, I like those stories, and I think
Yeah,
that they're
absolutely.
good stories. But what's a bummer is like, dude, we need to have some good stuff too. Like you need to have each side of the things that kind of bounce off each other, so that you're like, okay, well that was a sad movie that had like really good meaning, but now let me go watch a happy movie that also has really good meaning.
Yeah.
So
Dude,
I think
it's kind of staring me in the face too. Magnum PI is kind of a wild thing that we haven't had in a while, where it's like,
Yeah.
that show is dark, gritty, and bleak when it needs to be. When it goes to Vietnam, it shows you some pretty intense stuff, and there's some
Yeah,
pretty
dude.
intense storylines. Like that Sunrise episode, you're like, dude, that was legit. But how fun is it when he's like, don't look at the dog, look at the lock, look at the
Yeah,
he's
dude.
like trying. It's a great, fun, lighthearted, like happy feeling in its story. It gives you kind of, that's why it's my summer show. Like it just makes me like, nice summer day. Let me hit some Magnum PI, but it's still got the weight and the gravitas to it. But imagine,
dude.
the stuff that is in that kind of genre, in that wheelhouse now. It's got like the dark grain over to like as far as cinematography, it's like very dark,
Right.
grainy. It's going to be super realistic. It's going to be like bleak and violent, and you're like, dude, this is not it.
Right. Well, that's what's so good about Magnum PI is if you were to have a show now similar to that, it would either be way too corny, like the goofy scenes, because there are some episodes of Magnum where you're like, dude, this is crazy. Like when he breaks the fourth wall is always great, and you're like, okay, this is a joking show. Like that's all it can be. But then you've got episodes like any of the Vietnam ones, dude. Some of the most intense
Yeah.
movies. They're basically like usually they're
Right.
two-parters, and you're watching an hour and a half long movie, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is like a crazy war thriller. Also partnered now with him being like a retired naval intelligence officer. He's basically like a spy, and it does the stuff that I wish that I could do with the Nate Colt character, where it's like, dude, Thomas Magnum fits kind of, he's just an adventurer. Like he fits
Right.
all of the different things. And I think that that's the thing is like, there isn't enough blending of genres in that sense anymore. Cause that's what, if you tried to explain Magnum PI to somebody,
Yeah.
even just from the intro, they would be like, what am I looking at? There's so
Right.
many things going on here. And it's like, dude, that's why it thrives. That's why it's one of the greatest television shows ever made, because you have like really heavy hitting emotional stuff that deals with PTSD, war trauma, torture sequences, like, is literally nuts, dude. And then you have that partnered with him, like, giving the classic, like, eyebrow raise, smile at the camera, dude. It's too good. So I think it's like, yeah, that's a really good point. We haven't had anything like that ever. I mean, I can't think of many things that married
Treasure is
comedy.
my trade, dude.
Thanks, dude. I appreciate that. That married comedy and action and like heart so well.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for something like that to come around.
Yes, please.
So we'll see.
Please. That won't be the last rodeo, I don't think. I don't think we're saying that it'll be the Magnum PI,
Yeah.
but it'll be.
But it will
hopefully a
have.
step in the right
It'll
direction.
certainly have heart.
Yeah, it'll have heart, and be. To your point, the rodeo thing coming back, like with the Brandon Sklenar, I think
dude.
that's an untapped market, my friends. Is like the rodeo western. There's so much you can do with that, and it's been done a few times for sure, but not nearly enough, and not nearly to its. I don't think it's met its potential yet. I don't think people have done it correctly yet.
Right.
I think the Brandon Sklenar one sounds like it could because it's.
Yeah.
I think the tagline or like the log line or whatever was that he's like a rodeo star and he's going to use his skills outside of the arena to save somebody or something. And it's like, that's what we need, dude. Like
That's what we need.
I
for
need
sure.
the skill set of a rodeo guy to catch up to a car like in the Craven like car chasing, but let it be a horse jumps on the car.
Dude. That would be so cool.
It'd be sick. So it can absolutely be done better than it has, and it needs to be done more than it has, the rodeo westerns. So I'm happy that they're getting on that. Speaking of westerns, we got another one coming out that's kind of been in the makings for a while and has a serious backstory to it, which is Rust, the infamous Alec Baldwin movie. I'm looking up the plot here. A 13-year-old boy left to fend for himself and his brother after their parents' death is taken on a journey to Old Mexico by his grandfather after being sentenced to hang for an accidental killing. So, seems like one of those kind of road trip movies, but
That's the double whammy with the accidental killing there. That's
that is too ironic, too bleak.
That's
It'll
rough.
be very interesting to see what the reception to this movie is like, you know what I mean? Because of its backstory, it's like, wow, that's such a shadow. It's like The Crow, you know what I mean? The Crow ended up living up to its legacy and kind of like became this huge thing.
Yeah.
Don't know if Rust is going to get the same. I mean, it's got to be quite the movie for it to do that. But I'm just super interested to see what the final product looks like, kind of how they go about this, and what
Crazy stuff.
what the reviews and the press tour is going to be like. I don't know. Just
Right. I
very
wonder if it's
interesting.
going to be one of the things where it's like it would have been a very bad movie, but since it has so much of this like
Right.
controversy around it, it's just going to skyrocket to some sort of fame. I wonder. So I think that the weapons, the armorer, I guess is what they're called on film sets. I think they got charged with involuntary manslaughter. But I think the big issue is that 2 or 3 people literally left the production because they were like, yeah, this is not a safe working environment.
That's crazy.
And that was before that happened. So it was kind of
Jeez.
just like it's tough. Like Alec Baldwin is a prestigious actor. He's a very he at one point he was certainly A-list. He's now kind of like faded into obscurity to a minor extent. So I think that everybody's like, dude, you're rich. You need to be controlling the set that you're on. Like, you can't let that sort of stuff happen. And I think he produced it maybe, but I have no idea how that all works. At the end of the day, dude, you can't, if I'm handed a prop gun to shoot somebody with, I have to trust that I'm not going to like start practice shooting it to see if it works. That's literally what the armorer's job is to make sure nobody gets stinking killed on set. Dude. So huge L there. Devastating for whoever's family members that had to deal with like a good paying job, making it in the industry just to get killed by Alec Baldwin is a crazy sad turn of events. And this is the thing that we kind of get back to is like, unfortunately there's a lot of Westerns that are made, but they are almost immediately pushed to like B, C movies. So I don't even know. I didn't know if this was originally, I thought it might have been going straight to streaming. I guess maybe a theatrical release was always the plan, but I guess now after like 3 years of trial hell, like, I mean, crazy. Like, it's just been held up because of all this. For it to go out is pretty crazy. I wonder if there's going to be people who are going to intentionally boycott it because it promotes like unsafe workspaces in the entertainment industry. Weird stuff. I don't know. I am cautiously optimistic. It sounds like it's got a little bit of like a surrogate father, grandfather storyline that sounds pretty interesting. So we'll see.
We're fans of Secondhand Lions, so the grandfather storyline can definitely be done to great effect.
For sure.
To a point you made, because it will kind of connect us to another thing we'll talk about, but the whole like being in charge on set, or at least like speaking up and having your voice be heard. You know, say what you will about Tom Cruise, but there has been videos, you know, where he absolutely like puts people in their place in like a not over the top Christian Bale manner, but like a stern, like he's telling you like, I'm in charge. We're not having this kind of happen on my set. I think the incident I'm thinking of was regarding masks, and at first people could be like, make that political and make it a big thing and like, oh, what the heck, but it is from his point of view, it could get the production shut down and cost them so much time and so much money. So he's, you know, he's going to be the one to step up. And when it's the star telling you that too, like I know he produces and stuff too, I'm sure, but like he's the star in the face of this project telling you that, you're gonna listen when Tom Cruise is yelling at you. So you
have to.
It's good that he's able to stand up and do that kind of thing. And to your point, like that kind of responsibility and stepping into that role is important for any man or woman in any position ever, you know, like just don't be afraid to be assertive and speak your voice and, you know, step into the leadership role when necessary. If there's a vacuum there and you see things are going haywire, someone's got to step into that leadership role.
Right. So. The saying is, all it takes for evil to thrive is for good men to do nothing, right?
Right.
Which is like on a microcosm. Not like you said, you could politicize the mask thing all you want, and I don't know if I don't think the person who was doing the armory was like evil, but I think it still holds true. It's like if there's something unsafe happening, don't hesitate to do something about it, and it is your responsibility to some degree to stand up for people who aren't going to stand up for themselves or can't stand up for themselves. So, good pull there with the Tom Cruise stuff.
Because we're going to get to Tom Cruise. We'll briefly mention there's a movie called Salvable coming out with Shia LaBeouf, where he plays like an aging boxer training his brother, I think.
Very cool.
The description is an aging boxer struggles to escape the grasp of a small town while battling a fractured relationship with his teenage daughter. So very much, I think the negative drawback to this for me is that it is exactly what we're talking about, of like bleak, nihilistic. If you look at the pictures of it, it's super dark cinematography. Like it looks super bleak. So that'll be the drawback. But I love boxing films and I love Shia LaBeouf, so I'm in. Dude. So we'll briefly mention that. But then the big news is Mission Impossible, dude. It also comes out this month. So
I know, crazy.
We're starting with Treasures My Trade. Nate Cole, the new face of adventure, as we maybe say goodbye to a long-lasting face in adventure in Ethan Hunt. This is super important to you and a very big deal for you, so I'll let you take this off. I know you wanted to do something a little bit different because we have talked about it. We wanted to give final predictions on this. So what is your kind of take and predictions and hope, I guess, for this movie?
I'm super excited. My expectations are sky high. I usually try to tamp them down, but I'm not going to be able to.
Can't do it.
And this is the thing, is like it has to be a perfect movie for me not to be disappointed a little bit, no matter what the outcome is. But my predictions, so kind of similar to how you did with 1923 season 2. We'll just like touch on what we think's going to happen, what we hope's going to happen. I think would be a good move.
Okay.
My hope is that it's not actually the final movie, and that Tom Cruise is true to his word when he said, I'm 62, Harrison Ford's been doing Indiana Jones until he was 82, so I've got 20 more years of doing this. So it'd be cool to have him come back. I think that there's a part of me that thinks it's going to take like kind of the classic approach of like he's going to sacrifice himself for the team, and then the ending frame is going to be like he's sitting there with Julia or something like that, like he's back, you know, like or somehow Ilsa's back and he and Ilsa like ride off into the sunset, and it's like over, but it leaves opportunity for you to jump right back in. My what I think might happen, and this is only because so they brought in I think her name is Rebecca Waddingham, and oh man, I can't remember his name. He's Mr. Milchek in Severance. Both of those are actors in really, really big Apple Plus TV shows, and it seems like they've set up Haley Atwell's character to take over the helm if Tom Cruise was to leave. So I have this somewhat, I don't know, I want to say it on the internet so that it's noted that I said it if it happens. I wouldn't be surprised if they finish this movie and it goes into an actual. So what's been basically in the past 7 movies, the IMF has gone from a massive organization down to like Ethan, Benji, Luther, and whichever random female lead they have. It's like literally a team of 4 or 5 people. But over the past 2 or 3 movies, they've been kind of like rebuilding the IMF. So I think that it might just go straight into like a TV show with Benji and Grace as like the new team, and it's basically Haley Atwell going off and doing all sorts of sick adventures. That would be tough. It could be on Paramount Plus, which is where we got 1923. So they do have big budgets for those shows. I'm sure Tom Cruise would continue to produce it because it's his baby. So it could be good. It could also just be bad and ruin the whole entire legacy of stuff. So we'll see. And there's absolutely no rumors, nothing at all to make it seem like this could be true. But I feel like getting really good, like professional actors who have been in TV series, for some reason my mind's just like clicking, like, all right, these guys are going to make a TV show.
Could totally happen. I mean, it happened with John Wick, and that's where I'm thinking, you know, what I think, would they be looking at these companies and be like, what are they doing? What's working for them? If Ballerina does well, are we going to do a Ballerina with the Tom Cruise? Grace. With like the Grace character in Mission Impossible. We'll see. I think that's a great prediction to make because they're always looking for new angles to keep this going, to not work with Tom Cruise, I hear. I've heard like the company, I don't know if it's the company's out with now, but I know for a long time, like every movie, they're like, we got to get rid of this guy for a while.
I do remember hearing something about that too.
So I don't know where they're at with that, or if they're still trying to kick him out, or if now he's literally box office gold for the past few years again. It's like, we'll keep you. Like, I think that's all they really care about, right? Is the bottom line at a certain point. And he's not. I think his perception has far improved since like couch jumping Tom Cruise in the early days. I think after he brought the American patriotism, like I was talking about with Top Gun, I think people were like, all right, I'm back on the Tom Cruise train. That's what opened the door for me. And I was like, all right, he's not that bad. And then you came and were like, you got to watch Mission Impossible. And I was like, but Tom Cruise, though. And then you give it a shot. And then I was in. Dude, so I think
he's solid.
He's solid, and they could keep him around if they needed to. So for my hope is that I just want the movie to be good and not boring, and because it's so long that I'm like, please just be entertaining, which I'm sure it will be, but do not fill that time with just a lot of not action and not adventure. Like if you're gonna do 3 hours, it's still got to be 3 hours of adventure and action, because that's why I'm here.
Right, for sure. So
that's my hope, is that it's as adventurous and action packed as I'd like to see. Kind of my prediction for what I think is going to happen is I mentioned the movie earlier, Infinity War. I love how that movie ended with the snap, and then it's like, you guys lost, see ya. I think that is my guess, is that's how it's going to end, is like Ethan Hunt dies or whatever, like they lose, mission failed, and then you go to credits, and then you're actually, it's like the ultimate marketing ploy to get you into the next one, you know what I mean? Like calling it the final reckoning, making it like you guys lost, and then imagine the trailers for like when he wakes up in the water or something, and it's like the next mission. So that's my guess. Again, dude, could be totally wrong.
Good guess. I hope you're right.
That'd be cool.
That would be very cool.
Because we need more Tom Cruise movies.
And what's crazy is to the Magnum PI point right behind you, listening to his, I think it's called "You Never Know" by Tom Selleck, his memoir. He said that for season 7, because the Magnum PI has 8 seasons. Season 7 ratings were kind of going down, and there's possibility. Now, he very heavily implied that it was him, but he wrote to the all of the magazines. He was like, yeah, season 7 is the last season, and Magnum's going to die in the last episode. And everybody just, nobody didn't watch that last episode, dude. Everybody was tuned in. So I think that it definitely is the move. If you've got, I mean, Caroline, my wife, said to me, you can't be calling it the final reckoning and not having it be the final movie. And I was like, I don't know, dude. That's how they get you. Right. That's how they pull you in.
I do think that, dude. Marketing. It's marketing. Like, I saw Fallout in theaters. Did anybody see the last one in theaters? Did it go to theaters?
Yeah, it did.
Sucks for them. I didn't see it. I'm sorry.
It did really well for the first week,
okay.
But then
why did it drop off so hard?
Oppenheimer and Barbie came out like a week and a half afterwards, which sucks because they moved that date. Like, they moved to that date, I think Oppenheimer was supposed to come out before or after, but it moved to like a week and a half after. And Tom Cruise got really pissed because Dead Reckoning was supposed to have a very long IMAX run because it was shot for IMAX, but Nolan uses IMAX cameras, so they just were like, so long, Tommy, you got the boot. No. So he was pretty pissed. But yeah.
My point is, I didn't see that in theaters at all. Didn't even know I went to theaters, honestly. But this one I have to see in theaters. Even though typically, like, I like the movies, but I could probably wait for them to come out. I'm not going to wait on this one. I think that's the marketing behind it. Just like, Last Reckoning, possibly the last one. Is he going to die? Everyone's going to be there. I think it's going to have a huge opening, like, pretty massive. And depending on how things go and no more Barbenheimers come out, we should have a solid run. But
dude, they're going to re-release Barbenheimer.
All right, guys, we're doing one weekend like the Revenge of the Sith went well. And just crush their opening.
That would be heartbreaking news.
But yeah, we will see. Let us know again with all of these, but with the Fountain of Youth, most generic title. Tell us what you think about that movie, and I also want to know what your prediction is for the Final Reckoning.
I know, dude. I have to say, I am so excited for the plane sequence. It looks like it's just going to be nuts.
I love when you see his hair do like the weird super flat. It's like, dude, that's what I need because it's real. Like, he's actually doing it. If it was
he's having a hard time breathing.
If it was a Hollywood just like CGI extravaganza, his hair would be perfect, dude. He'd be, I'm sick. But like, his hair's just kush because he can't breathe and he's just,
he's literally dying.
It's so cool. So I'm excited. This will be a good time. Nonetheless, for adventure fans, May is a good time for adventure fans. We got the Underground Kings showing up for Men's Adventure Fiction May, crushing it with the stories you guys submitted, and that'll be such a fun ride for you guys to get these in your hands and to be talking with the authors and with us about what you enjoyed about the stories and getting the conversation started around these guys, and of course all the movies we mentioned. But to kick this thing off, go buy Treasure Is My Trade right now. This is how you start May the right way. This is the perfect kickoff for the month. So thank you guys for joining us for another episode.
I appreciate you.
Of course, dude.
Yeah. Thank you guys. It's been fun.
See you in a bit. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Take care.
You of course know Socrates.
Of course.
Did you know he wrote scrolls?
No, I don't think that he did. I was under the impression that all of his philosophizing was carried down to us by his followers.
A common misconception. That's why you're here, Mr. Cole. To find the scrolls.